Every single person around you has a pattern in the way they think, the way they feel, and the way they act. And if you learn to recognize that pattern, you can understand anyone's intentions, emotions, and decisions, sometimes even before they make them. These patterns come from their past experiences, their emotional needs, and their mental state. In simple words, the person someone is today is a result of everything they've been through in their life. If you carefully observe why someone does what they do, you can actually predict what they're going to do next. Let's say you have a friend who gets angry very quickly over small things. You notice that whenever someone points out his mistake, he immediately gets defensive and starts arguing. Now, if you try to understand his personality, you might find that this behavior is connected to his past. Maybe as a child, he was scolded a lot, or he was made to feel like he was never right. So now, every time someone points out his mistake, his brain reacts with anger, like a shield, to protect him. Once you understand this pattern, you can easily predict that the next time someone corrects him, his reaction is going to be the same. Similarly, if you know someone who is always ready to help others, even when they're struggling themselves, it could mean that they find their self-worth in making others happy. Maybe in their life, they only received love and belonging when they put others' needs before their own. So now, it's become a habit. They forget themselves just to help others. If you recognize this pattern, you understand not just why they keep doing it, but also that they'll keep doing it in the future too. Another great way to understand people is to look at the gap between what they say and what they actually do. Many times people say one thing, but mean something completely different. Let's say a colleague of yours always says, "I don't care what others think of me." But every time someone criticizes him, he stays upset for weeks. This means his words and his true feelings don't match. He wants to appear like someone who doesn't care. But deep down, other people's opinions affect him a lot. Once you spot this pattern, you already know the next time he gets criticized, he's going to be disturbed all over again. Reading reactions in different situations. When analyzing someone's behavior, it also helps to see how they react in different situations. For example, someone who is very funny and open with friends, but becomes very quiet and serious at work. That person is very good at adapting to their environment. But if someone behaves the same way everywhere, always serious or always joking around, that's more about their inner personality than their surroundings. Sometimes people put on a fake personality to impress others, but if you observe carefully, you can see through it. Let's say someone always tries to come across as super confident, but the moment you ask them a difficult question, they get uncomfortable and try to change the topic. That confidence might just be a performance. Learning to spot patterns like this helps you see who people really are versus who they're pretending to be. Psychological needs behind behavior. Our behavior patterns are also deeply connected to our psychological needs. Some people always need to be right, so they never admit a mistake. Some people need constant attention, so they keep doing things that make people notice them. Some people love control, so they try to dominate every situation. If you understand what someone's biggest need is, you can predict how they'll behave. Think about someone in a group who always speaks first and dominates conversations. Their need is to be the center of attention. Now, if someone else starts getting more attention, this person will feel uncomfortable, and they will find a way to bring the focus back to themselves. Once you know this pattern, their future reactions become very easy to predict. Decisions and past experiences. Another way to understand behavior patterns is to study how people make decisions. Every big decision a person makes isn't just about the current situation. It's also shaped by their past experiences, fears, and desires. Let's say someone always says no to new opportunities because they're scared of failing. This fear probably comes from a time in their life when they took a big risk and it didn't work out. So now they avoid all risk. If you recognize this pattern, you can predict that in the future too, they'll keep saying no to opportunities that seem risky. On the flip side, someone who grabs every opportunity without thinking twice has probably learned that acting fast is the key to success. Their pattern is opposite. They jump in before overthinking. Understanding these patterns doesn't just help you understand people better, it also helps you build better relationships. When you understand why someone behaves the way they do, you can be more patient with them and connect with them more deeply. And remember, people do change over time, but even that change follows a pattern. If you can recognize the direction someone is moving in, you can often predict their next step too. So instead of just listening to what people say, watch what they do. Understand their past, their desires, their fears, and their needs. When you do that, you won't just understand people, you'll be able to read them. Body language. Now, most of us think that to understand someone, we just need to listen to their words. But the truth is, body language and facial expressions are often more powerful than words. Many times, people say one thing, but their real feelings show through their body. Let's say you ask your friend if they're okay, and they say, "Yeah, I'm fine." But their voice is a little low, their eyes are slightly downcast, and their shoulders are drooping. Are they really fine? Probably not. Their words say one thing, but their body is saying something else. This is exactly why we shouldn't just rely on words. We need to watch people's expressions and body language too. Facial expressions are the most powerful signals because real emotions show up on the face quickly. When someone is happy, their eyes light up, there's a gentle smile, and their face looks open. When someone is sad, their eyes feel heavy, their eyebrows drop slightly, and their lips seem tight. Fear, anger, surprise, worry, every emotion has its own expression, and once you learn to read them, you can sense how someone is feeling inside. Spotting body language in real life. Let's say a colleague of yours always says he has no problem with anyone, but whenever a specific person walks into the room, his body language changes, his face gets a little stiff, he avoids eye contact, and his hands quietly form fists. You don't need him to say anything. His body already told you the truth. Other signals matter too. When someone is genuinely interested in a conversation, their body leans slightly forward, their eyes stay focused, and their eyebrows are slightly raised. But when someone is bored, they lean back, their eyes wander, and they look like they're just waiting for it to end. Think about this. If you're talking to someone and they're constantly shaking their leg, checking their watch, or looking at their phone, what does that tell you? They're either restless or not really interested in the conversation. Small signals like these can reveal a lot about what someone is actually feeling. Catching lies through body language. But their bodies always give something away. For example, when someone is lying, they often avoid direct eye contact. They touch their nose or face repeatedly, or there's a slight change in their voice. If you start noticing these signals, you can tell when someone is being honest and when they're not. But here's an important thing to remember. Don't jump to conclusions based on just one signal. If someone's eyes are downcast, it doesn't necessarily mean they're sad. They might just be tired. If someone crosses their arms, it doesn't mean they're angry. They might just be cold. Always consider the context, and always look for a cluster of signals together, not just one. For example, if someone has crossed arms, tense eyebrows, tight lips, and their body is leaning away, together these signals suggest they're upset or feeling defensive. But crossed arms alone? That tells you very little. Here's another example. Someone is talking to you and smiling in between, but the smile only reaches their lips, not their eyes. Their eyes look a little tired, and they keep touching their neck. This could mean they're smiling on the outside, but feeling anxious or uncomfortable on the inside. This skill isn't just useful in personal relationships. It's incredibly valuable at work too. Imagine you're in a meeting, and your boss says he liked your project report, but his face shows a hint of frustration, and his hands are lying flat on the table with no energy. That might mean he's just being polite, and he's actually not fully satisfied. If you catch this signal early, you can improve your work before it becomes a problem. Reading body language is an art, and like all arts, it gets better with practice. Start paying attention to people's expressions and gestures in everyday life, and always start by noticing what's normal for a person. If someone is usually very energetic, but one day they're unusually quiet, that's a signal. If someone is usually calm but suddenly very expressive, that's unusual too. When you start noticing these small things, you'll start understanding what people are really feeling, even when they're saying something else. Motivation, pleasure, and pain. Everything a person does has a reason behind it. Someone works hard because they want success. Someone saves money because they're worried about the future. Someone helps others because it makes them feel good. Someone lies because they want to avoid trouble. If you understand what makes someone happy and what they're afraid of, you can predict how they'll behave. At the core, every human being has two big motivational drivers: seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. People do things either because it makes them feel good or because it helps them escape something uncomfortable. Let's say there are two colleagues at your office. One always takes on extra work, pushes himself, and learns from every mistake. The other does the bare minimum, avoids risk, and never takes on new responsibilities. Why are they so different? The first person finds joy in success. Maybe he wants a promotion, or he wants to prove himself. He believes that working harder will bring him the happiness he's looking for. The second person is driven by the fear of failure. He doesn't want to make mistakes or face criticism, so he never takes steps that could get him into trouble later. If you understand this motivation, you can easily predict how they'll each react when a new project is assigned. The first will take it on with excitement. The second will find an excuse or try to minimize his responsibility. Apply the pleasure-pain framework. Think about this. If you're suggesting to a friend that they should start going to the gym, if they're motivated by pleasure, they'll think, going to the gym will make me fitter, I'll feel great, and I'll look better. If they're motivated by avoiding pain, they'll think, if I don't go to the gym, I'll get sick, gain weight, and have health problems later. Both people might end up going to the gym, but for completely different reasons. One sees it as something to gain, the other sees it as a way to avoid loss. This framework applies everywhere. Someone who's always quick to get angry might be driven by a need to always be right, because somewhere in their past, they had to fight hard to prove themselves. Now, every time someone challenges them, they react with anger to defend that space. If you understand the motivation behind their anger, you can also understand when they'll get angry, and how to calm them down. People's fears drive them just as much as their desires. Some people are very careful about their image in public because they're afraid of rejection. They always make sure they're wearing the right clothes, saying the right things, avoiding any social mistake. Others are very careful with money because they're afraid of poverty. They save obsessively and never spend unnecessarily. If you know what someone's fear is, you can predict their decisions. Say you have a friend who is very cautious in relationships. He doesn't trust easily, doesn't open up quickly, and thinks a lot before entering any new relationship. Maybe he was badly hurt in a past relationship and doesn't want to go through that pain again. His behavior is entirely about protecting himself from future hurt. Once you understand this, you also know what he needs: consistent reassurance and patience. Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. Every person has different needs, but if you look closely, these needs follow a specific order. Psychologist Abraham Maslow explained this beautifully with what's called Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. He divided human needs into 5 levels. The most basic needs are at the bottom, and as a person fulfills those, they move up to the next level. If you can identify where someone is on this ladder, you'll understand what motivates them and what kind of decisions they'll make. Level 1. Basic physical needs: food, water, sleep, and basic comfort. If these aren't met, nothing else matters. A person struggling to pay for meals isn't going to be thinking about self-improvement or career growth. Their entire focus is survival. This is why before giving someone big advice, you need to first understand what level they're actually at. Level 2. Safety and security. Once basic needs are covered, people start wanting stability, a steady job, a safe home, good health, and security about the future. Someone who's always afraid of losing their job will make very cautious decisions. They'll avoid big risks and changes because any disruption threatens their sense of safety. Level 3. Social belonging. Once someone feels safe and secure, they start craving connection, friendship, love, community. At this stage, relationships become the priority. If someone is feeling lonely and you give them career advice, they won't be very motivated by it. Their heart is looking for belonging, not success. Level 4. Esteem and recognition. When social needs are fulfilled, people start wanting to feel respected and valued. They want their achievements acknowledged. This is why some people love sharing their accomplishments on social media. It brings them recognition and validation. At this level, the best way to motivate someone is to genuinely appreciate their work and make them feel important. Level 5, self-actualization. This is the highest level. Once a person has esteem and recognition, they start asking bigger questions. What is my purpose? How can I make a meaningful difference? People at this level aren't chasing money or approval. They're driven by contribution, art, science, service, personal growth. If you talk to someone at this level purely about money, it won't inspire them much. When you apply this model in everyday life, you'll find it much easier to understand people, what motivates them, what decisions they'll make, and what approach will actually reach them. Defense mechanisms. Every person has an ego, an internal system that helps them feel good about themselves and protect their self-worth. When something threatens that self-worth or makes someone feel insecure, the mind kicks in with automatic ways to protect itself. These are called defense mechanisms. We all use them, and most of the time we don't even realize it. If you can recognize which defense mechanism someone is using, you can understand their real fears and emotions beneath the surface. Projection. This is when someone takes their own negative feeling and projects it onto someone else. For example, someone who's actually very angry but doesn't want to see themselves that way. When someone tells them, "You get angry a lot," they immediately respond, "I'm not angry, you're the one who's always irritated." Their real fear is seeing themselves as an angry person. So instead of accepting it, they put that quality onto others. Once you recognize this, you understand what they're really feeling inside. Denial. This is when someone refuses to accept a truth, no matter how obvious it is. Imagine someone who's spending way beyond their means and drowning in debt. But whenever anyone brings it up, they say, "I'm fine, everything is under control." That's denial. Accepting the truth would hurt their ego, so their mind simply blocks it out. Rationalization. This is when people make excuses for their mistakes, so they don't have to feel bad. Say someone fails an exam and says, "That exam was useless anyway." Deep down, it does matter. But admitting that would mean facing disappointment. So they convince themselves the exam wasn't worth it in the first place, and protect their ego. Repression. This is when painful memories or emotions get pushed so deep into the subconscious that the person no longer consciously remembers them. A child who was constantly scolded might grow up with very little memory of it, but those buried experiences still shape their behavior. They might be terrified of criticism or always feel the need to prove themselves. Understanding what someone has repressed helps you understand what they're really struggling with. Regression. Under extreme stress, some people revert to childlike behavior, crying, throwing tantrums, or acting out in ways they used as children to get attention or comfort. For example, someone who's under huge pressure at work might start snapping at everyone around them. Their mind is going back to an older, simpler coping strategy. Displacement. This is when someone redirects their feelings away from the real target and takes it out on someone else. A classic example: a person gets yelled at by their boss, comes home, and snaps at their family. The real anger is toward the boss, but because they can't confront the boss, their mind finds a safer outlet. Sublimation. This is actually a positive defense mechanism. Instead of acting out a negative emotion, the person channels it into something creative or productive. A very angry person who puts that energy into intense workouts, art, or music is using sublimation. Many artists, athletes, and writers channel deep emotions into their work this way. So friends, that's your summary for today. Understanding people isn't magic, it's a skill. Watch their patterns, listen to their real needs, notice the gap between what they say and what they do. Pay attention to their body language. Understand what drives them, pleasure or pain. Know where they are in life's hierarchy of needs. And recognize when their ego is putting up walls. When you put all of this together, you don't just know people, you truly understand them. And that changes everything: your relationships, your communication, and your ability to connect with the world around you. If you found this summary helpful, make sure you subscribe to 30 Minutes Book Summaries so you never miss out on knowledge that can genuinely change your life. See you in the next one.